Hello. In this video, we are going to be talking about proposal essays. This is a brief introduction. It's not going to cover every single possible point, but this is going to give you an idea of what we're working towards, since this proposal essay is going to be broken up in several steps that is going to take us through the rest of the semester. So you're probably asking, what is a proposal, at least in this context? No, you do not get down on one knee. This is an essay where you convince the reader that there is a problem and that you have a solution or a potential solution for it. So it could look like someone should do XYZ because of ABC, what have you. And that because is the essential part. That's how you persuade your audience. You have your claim, you have the reasons for that claim, and those two things have to go together. If you remember from logical fallacies that when that because doesn't make sense, that's when you lose your audience. So that is what you are attempting to do, to make a reasonable solution for a known problem. Now, there are a couple of ways that you can approach this essay. You may have a problem that calls for a more practical or concrete solution. So examples of this would be installing recycling bins around the city, or asking a college administration to provide shuttles to and from the parking lot or around town to prevent congestion. These are concrete actions where you have to actually provide something physical in order to solve that problem. Then you have policy changes where it's just a change in how things are done. So instead of those in recycling bins, it's fees for those who refuse to recycle. Or instead of those shuttles, you reduce parking fees for people who don't use the parking lot. So, and sometimes these can be combined. It's not necessarily you have to pick one over the other. It's just a way for you to understand the different types of solutions that you can possibly present and what those might look like. So here are the necessary elements for this type of essay. Obviously, like with any argument, you're making a claim. Then you have to identify the problem. Once you have done that, then you propose the solution. Then you would describe how that solution would work, how feasible it is, how reasonable it is. Now, it could be both reasonable and feasible, but if one of those doesn't quite add up to the other, you may have a little bit harder time coming up with logical reasons why it would work. So, example, it might be feasible to put fees in place for people who don't want to recycle would have to pay. You can do it, but is it reasonable? The other side of that, it would be reasonable to put recycling bins throughout the city. That would make sense. However, for a smaller town, that may not be feasible money-wise. So you have to think about both of those things when you're thinking about your topic. Then you have to think about, have there been other solutions for this problem? Did they work? Did they not work? Also, are there any counter arguments or rebuttals to your solution, especially if it's a problem involving any government agency that might raise taxes? You're going to have counter arguments about that. So you may not have an answer for those arguments, but you want to at least address them so that you're showing that you understand what the concerns are. Then you end on a call to action. So let's say, just going through my example of the recycling bins, maybe my claim is that more and more people are reluctant to recycle because it is getting harder and harder to find places to recycle. Your problem would be like the lack of recycling causes problems with landfills, it causes problems maybe doing illegal dumping, whatever it is. Then you propose the solution. If we put recycling bins in easily accessible places around the city, more people would recycle, and then hopefully maybe find other places that have done that, that maybe has some case studies that back up your claim. Then you get into the feasibility and reasonableness. Like I described, it might be reasonable, may not be feasible, and obviously if it's a city program, there's going to be cost involved, so your counter arguments, obviously always the top thing, no taxes or no tax increases, but then you have to kind of reel that in. But yes, what are we paying for in the longer run when it comes to not recycling? And then your call to action might be, you know, putting pressure on local authorities to do something about the recycling problem. Call your senators, call your local representatives, whatever it is. And that is, that last push to get your audience to invest in what you're presenting them, both in the problem and in the solution. Now, this type of writing is something that takes time and planning. This is not a let's Google an idea at 10 o'clock the night that it's due type of writing. It will not work. We are going to be actually taking this in several steps, so you have to keep up in every step to make sure that you're staying on target. Your first step, however, is finding your topic. This is your problem. Whatever it is, you have to do some preliminary research to see if it will work. So first you have to see, is it a true problem that requires a solution? Meaning, does it affect enough people that it needs to be dealt with? If you personally hate a certain stop sign on a certain street corner, but nobody else complains about it, that's not really a true problem. That's a you problem. A bigger problem that may affect a lot of people is someplace that needs a stop sign where a lot of accidents have happened. That would involve a lot more people. That is a true problem that needs a solution. Then you have to think, who does it affect? Is this like a local problem? Is it a more widespread problem? Is it only certain demographics within an area that is affected? This all comes into play. Think again about rhetorical situations, what you're trying to do, who you're trying to reach, and what your purpose is. Then think about what the long-term outcomes if the problem is not fixed. If we don't do something about the recycling problem, we are going to continue to contribute to things like climate change, air pollution, and so on. Everybody kind of knows this, so that research where you can come up with specific examples or anecdotal evidence is going to go a long way. Then you have to think about, can you find a solution? This is also something you have to research. If anything else has been tried, has it worked? Has it failed? Maybe something that's not exactly your problem and solution, but close to it that you can model your solution off of. That's also good research to try. But all of this is the first thing you have to do before you even actually begin working on the project, because you have to come up with a topic. This topic is going to live with you until the end of the semester, so make sure you take the time to pick one that works. As I just mentioned, we will be doing this step by step. We're not doing it all at once. So it's kind of broken up into 3 parts. Once you have your topic, we'll be doing an annotated bibliography. This is basically a list of all your sources with notes explaining how that source helps your paper, what part of that paper it fits in, if it's credible, and so on. Then you will do the argument essay, which is just explaining the problem and the consequences if it's not solved. Then we go to the proposal portion, and this is where you explain your solution, all the reasons why it would work, and then your call to action. You put this all together, and this will be your final project. Okay, let's do a quick recap. So, a proposal essay is something that explains a problem and then presents a solution. Your first step is to find a topic. Once you settle on a topic, we'll do more in-depth research and you will work on an annotated bibliography. Then we move on to the argument portion where we present the problem, then the proposal where we present the solution. Now, I realize this was a very brief and quick overview. It doesn't go into a lot of detail. We will do that as we go. So as we get to our annotated bibliography, we're going to talk more about how that's formatted, what you're looking for, and go through that in detail. Again, with the argument and then with a proposal. So you don't have to worry about all of it at once. Right now, all you need to do this week is all the reading within our module. There's no written homework. There's a chapter that you need to read on proposal essays. Has a lot of good information and examples. There's also a briefer tip sheet that kind of goes through all the steps. I have some links and a document in a folder that has potential ideas. If there's an idea that's already in mind that you're not sure if it will work or not, feel free to email me and I will take a look at it and let you know. That is all you need to worry about this week. But I do want you to go through, read all that. There's also a sample essay that can kind of show you what it looks like in real life. Um, and then, once next week, we're going to start talking a little bit more about how to narrow those topics down, the type of research you need to do, and so on. So if you have any questions, let me know. If not, I will talk to you again next week.